When you spend time with narcissists, you can pick up on some of their habits or even their defense mechanisms and mindsets, especially if you grew up in a family like that. Now, these are called narcissistic fleas, and you might be wondering if you have them. Welcome to the Inner Integration channel. I'm Meredith Miller, and this is where you can find out about mindsets and tools to help you heal after narcissistic abuse. Now, it's normal to pick up habits, mindsets, beliefs, perspectives from the people that you hang out with. We have mirror neurons, and then there's the contagion effect of habits. Jim Rohn said, you become like the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Now, of course, nowadays that could be online, on the phone, or in person. People also say, tell me the 5 people that you most hang out with, and I'll tell you your future. Are you reevaluating right now who those 5 people are in your life? Good. Ask yourself, do you want to be like them? I mentioned a few months ago about the Harvard study that shows your success and failure in life is determined up to 90% by the people that you hang out with. So that means when you're hanging out with narcissists or toxic people, you're allowing those people to help you fail at life. Narcissistic fleas are habits or mindsets that you pick up via exposure to narcissists. Now, the good news is you can cure a bad case of fleas with the right medicine. In this video, I'm going to talk about the power of the people that you surround yourself with, and I'm going to let you know about 5 habits that you might have picked up from the narcissists in your life. So here are the 5 common habits that you can pick up from narcissists. Number 1. You always want to be right. You're going to notice emotional discomfort, tension, upset when people don't agree with you, when they don't agree with your opinions, your perspectives, your decisions, your worldview. What you'll find is you keep arguing, trying to convince people that you're right. You keep arguing, trying to get people to agree with you. That's a really toxic habit. You want to get rid of that so that healthy people aren't turned off by you. So that means you need to learn how to agree to disagree. If you don't have friends who have different worldviews than you, if you don't have friends that have very different political views than you, then you might notice that you have this issue in your life. If you can't be friends because they're on the other political side, which is something really common, especially in America today, you have this problem. Let people have their opinions, and you can have yours. Their opinion doesn't take away from yours. And when you're wrong and you realize that, have the humbleness to admit that you were wrong. That's an attractive quality. Number 2, you act like a know-it-all. You don't listen to people because you think you know best. They're talking and you're interrupting them and constantly interjecting how you're thinking. You're not even listening to them. You're not even letting that person express themselves. Have you ever been around someone like that where you're trying to tell them a story or something that you're going through and they just keep interrupting you as you're talking? You might notice you also have a hard time saying that you don't know. Or maybe when you don't know, you overcompensate by showing off or acting like you knew that, but you didn't. You just lack the humbleness to be able to say those words, I don't know. So learn how to say, I don't know. Work on developing the humbleness to admit that so you can learn something new. You can learn new information. You can learn new things about other people instead of always interjecting what you know. It's very disempowering and invalidating to hang out with somebody who thinks that they know it all. Don't be that person. Number 3, you have a hard time admitting mistakes. Now, of course, this is from being in a relationship with or growing up with a narcissistic parent or sibling or someone in your family who was always criticizing you for your mistakes, and you were always terrified of making a mistake. So the contrary to that is you become a perfectionist. But then what you might notice if you can't admit that you make mistakes is when you do, you minimize it, you make excuses, you pretend like people misunderstood you when really you made a mistake, and that is actually gaslighting. Don't be the gaslighter because that's what you learned from the narcissist. So learn to admit your mistakes, learn to own your mistakes, laugh at them, learn from them. Remember, it wasn't a mistake if you can learn from it. But if you can't admit that you messed up, you're not going to learn anything. Also, you're not really going to be someone that people want to hang out with if your pride is too big that you can't admit mistakes. Number 4, you have poor communication skills. Maybe you throw tantrums. Maybe you're passive aggressive. Maybe you give people the silent treatment. Maybe you lash out at people when things don't go your way. Or maybe you swallow it and you don't speak up when you need to speak up because you just can't communicate it. Now, of course, this came from the training, the grooming with the narcissist, other manipulator, abuser, who made you believe that you weren't allowed to express your feelings, your opinions, how you felt about anything that happened. So of course that stifled your communication skills, especially when it comes to communicating your emotions. That was normalized at home. So now it's your job to learn better communication skills, to be more constructive, more clear, more direct in the way that you express yourself with others. Of course, that takes practice. It's not something you just suddenly develop if all your life you never knew how to communicate well because of your upbringing. So be patient with yourself in that process, but do make that effort to notice when those poor communication skills and defense mechanisms are coming up and how you can do that in a more mature, constructive way. Number 5, you have a short fuse. You're easily upset, triggered, angered, offended. This is because you have all this built up from all those years of abuse. So you want to work on meditation, mindfulness. That means being very present in the here and now, so you notice when that moment gets where it's overflowing. You need to take a time out. You need to process emotions. You need to process anger, especially anger. If you didn't see my video last year about the 2 types of anger, I'm going to link that video up here so you can check that out. Processing that anger is so important after abuse. It is normal and natural that you're angry, but you don't want to keep letting that affecting the rest of your life and the rest of your relationships because you haven't worked on that. So a lot of people ask after narcissistic abuse, am I the narcissist? I want you to keep this equation in mind. Self-reflection leads to self-awareness, which leads to self-responsibility. That equals the possibility for change. And that is the difference between you and the narcissist. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, give it a like, leave me a comment below. Maybe you noticed some of these behaviors in yourself. There's no shame in that. You were taught that, you were groomed that way, you were conditioned that way. But now you got to grab the reins of your destiny and transform your life so that you stop carrying those fleas with you. If you've overcome some of these narcissistic fleas, leave that comment below to encourage other people who are going through that as well. Because as you know, there can be a lot of shame around this kind of stuff. And those of us who have been through it understand. I'm sending you a big hug.